Good afternoon, dear friends. Today I've decided to tell you about cellular polycarbonate, methods of its usage and installment, and reasons for its degradation. We are often asked about it, and it's really an important issue since inappropriate installation can lead to the rapid degradation of polycarbonate. So, now we will speak about the main do's and don'ts when working with this material. As you know, cellular polycarbonate is a polymer made of two sheets, joined together by internal walls, creating a structure in the form of a cell. Thus, it is very light and at the same time very firm material. It is perfect for construction of greenhouses, since due its cellular structure it has good ability to keep warm. In fact, I think that polycarbonate is used for covering greenhouses much more often than for making any other architectural structures such as gazebos, canopies, or awnings. So, when making a greenhouse, one of the main points that should be taken into account is the basis on which we will install the polycarbonate. It should have the same area as the polycarbonate sheet. I've often seen frameworks made with the distance of, for example, 70 cm, which means that the distance is 70, 70, and then 2/43. In other words, the connection or joint between the frame elements is left hanging in the air. The issue here is that if it sags even slightly, water, snow, and other debris can accumulate there. It can lead to leakage and, in some cases, the polycarbonate sheets may pop out of their grooves, as they have a wider bottom part. The rule for profile installation is that the lower part should be wider, while the upper part should be narrower. This design provides better support of the polycarbonate, especially under the load. However, if there's sag and water accumulates there, it can lead to some troubles. That's why the joints should always be on the frame ridges. The standard size is 65 cm, which means that 3 ridges are used for one polycarbonate sheet. 1 meter is when the sheets overlap, while with the 1.5 there's a gap joined with a connecting profile, and similarly 2 meters and 2.12 meters. There are different ways to install polycarbonate. For instance, if you have an arched surface, it's most common to use overlapping sheets, where one sheet is laid on top of the second one, in a chessboard pattern, so the bottom sequence is 1-3-5, and the top sequence is 2-4. Now, if you have straight sections, it's better to connect them using a connecting profile because it doesn't make gaps and looks much better. Here's an example of a connecting profile that fits here. Our standard spacing between the frame elements is 2 meters. This way, we join the polycarbonate using a connecting profile. Typically, the standard number of screws for one sheet is 46. This means that we usually have 4/6 screws per 1 square meter. Next, screws can be inexpensive, typically made of metal, along with the rubber washers. Why do we use metal and rubber? Because when we tighten them, we can over-tighten and crush the polycarbonate. Polycarbonate contracts and expands with temperature changes, so the metal and rubber washer let it do this without damaging. If we tighten it too much, we can deform the polycarbonate near the washer, and over the time, it may start to degrade. I'd like to draw your attention to a few points to make it clear. For example, the joints, like these pieces of polycarbonate, usually fit snugly. It means that it makes a watertight connection, and there won't be any leaks or moisture getting in. So, when you apply silicone, avoid pouring it over the screws. It's not correct, but it's not a big deal either. You might be wondering if we have. Here, in this photo, you should open here. You should apply silicone on the edge of the profile, only where the cells come out. Here, we have a spacing of 100, and we need to cover the cells. By the way, we also add some silicone to these face rails on the roof. It is technically correct, but there's a nuance. When the snow falls from the roof, it turns into ice, and in spring, all these face rails are pushed away by the snow. So, the ice, along with the snow, pushes these little rails out. Usually, we add a bit of silicone to attach them securely to the polycarbonate so they won't fly away. So, there is a question, perforated or non-perforated tape. Our main task is to seal the cells so that neither moisture nor insects get in. When we install the profile, we close this cavity so nothing can get there. When we install the lower part, we also close it from below. However, moisture will disperse. If you see it is happening, it is called sweating. It occurs when it's cold outside but warm inside the greenhouse. The polycarbonate doesn't reach the dew point, so this kind of vapor appears only at the bottom and drips. So, even if the profile is installed and sealed properly, some condensation will still appear. Initially, you can use non-perforated tape. The key thing is to make sure the joint is sealed. So, regarding the tape, it's essential to check both, its top and bottom. Non-perforated tape is solid and doesn't allow moisture to get in. Perforated tape, on the other hand, has small holes and allows moisture to disperse. Another question that is often asked is whether the cells should be placed vertically or horizontally. According to the technique, the cells should always be placed vertically to allow moisture to come out. However, in practice, if the span is less than 2 meters and there's no excessive water accumulation during the day, it won't break the polycarbonate. Yet, if you have a section longer than 2 meters, it's important to pay attention to these details. Again, the best option for sealing joints is silicone. Why silicone? No matter how precisely you cut it with a knife, you'll always have micro gaps. Polycarbonate undergoes expansion and contraction. Instead of silicone, you can sometimes use rubber. Silicone is practical and convenient. It holds up well. Sometimes it happens that polycarbonate deteriorates earlier than the silicone. It is because it's located in the lower part, not constantly exposed to sunlight, UV, or other factors. Therefore, silicone lasts longer than polycarbonate. Next, if we go inside, let's take a look at the structure. There are techniques for designing polycarbonate structures. It depends on how much open space should be between the supports, and on thickness of the polycarbonate. Here we have an 8 mm polycarbonate, which is slightly less than the usual roof pitch. It can cause snow amassing. However, the structure is quite rigid with the supports installed 50 centimeters from one another. The only issue here is that the snow load is at the limit due to the span distance. Another point to consider is that all movable elements should have small clearances to accommodate the expansion and contraction of the polycarbonate. It allows the doors to open and close loosely. There's a small review here, with an approach that makes the doors close tightly.
Здесь небольшой зазор, здесь, но здесь просто уплотнитель ставится. Тогда, в принципе, двери нормально открываются, не затираются, в чем бывают нюансы. Когда поликарбонат на поликарбонат, он начинает трещать. Поэтому
in movable parts, there should be small clearances, a minimum of 5 mm. This compromises durability but extends the life of the opening element. These are the basic rules and key components that govern the construction. To ensure our construction matches the size of the polycarbonate, we also take into account the cutting of the polycarbonate. Here, it's 3 meters and 60 centimeters so that a 4-meter sheet fits, and here it's 2 meters for the sheet to fit. In the end, this entire structure spans 4 meters by 2 meters, meaning a single sheet fits perfectly without any waste. When designing the structure, it's important to consider the material layout you'll be using. Sheets come in 6-meter and 12-meter sizes, with an industrial size of 12 meters, but they are cut into 6-meter sections for easier transportation. The second aspect is proper connections and, consequently, sealing to prevent insects, dust, or dirt from entering. And thirdly, how all of this will be utilized in the future. These are the fundamental operational guidelines for installation, anchoring, setting up, and utilizing it. I hope this information helps you assemble a transparent structure that lasts and provides you with a harmonious and progressive living environment. It was Alexander Kyanitsia. Live in harmony with nature and to the beat of progress.